Polytheism is the worship of or belief in multiple deities usually assembled into a pantheon of gods and goddesses, along with their own religions and rituals. In most religions which accept polytheism, the different gods and goddesses are representations of forces of nature or ancestral principles, and can be viewed either as autonomous or as aspects or emanations of a creator god or transcendental absolute principle, which manifests immanently in nature. It is a type of theism. Within theism, it contrasts with monotheism, the belief in a singular god, in most cases transcendent. Polytheists do not always worship all the gods equally, but can be henotheists, specializing in the worship of one particular deity. Other polytheists can be kathenotheists, worshipping different deities at different times. Polytheism was the typical form of religion during the Bronze Age and Iron Age, up to the Axial Age and the development of Abrahamic religions which enforced strict monotheism. It is well documented in historical religions of classical antiquity, especially ancient Greek religion and ancient Roman religion, and after the decline of Greco-Roman polytheism in tribal religions such as Germanic paganism or Slavic paganism. Important polytheistic religions practiced today include Chinese traditional religion, Hinduism, Japanese Shinto, and the neo-pagan context. Terminology. The term comes from the Greek pi omicron lambda epsilon poly and theta epsilon omicron sigma theos, and was first invented by the Jewish writer Philo of Alexandria to argue with the Greeks. When Christianity spread throughout Europe and the Mediterranean, non-Christians were just called Gentiles or pagans or, in a clearly pejorative, idolaters. The modern usage of the term is first revived in French through Jean Bodin in 1580, followed by Samuel Purchas's usage in English in 1614. Soft polytheism versus hard polytheism. A central, main division in polytheism is between soft polytheism and hard polytheism. Hard polytheism is the belief that gods are distinct, separate, real divine beings, rather than psychological archetypes or personifications of natural forces. Hard polytheists reject the idea that all gods are one god. Hard polytheists do not necessarily consider the gods of all cultures as being equally real, a theological position formerly known as integrational polytheism or omnitheism. This is contrasted with soft polytheism, which holds that gods may be aspects of only one god, that the pantheons of other cultures are representative of one single pantheon, psychological archetypes or personifications of natural forces, gods and divinity. The deities of polytheism are often portrayed as complex personages of greater or lesser status, with individual skills, needs, desires and histories, in many ways similar to humans in their personality traits, but with additional individual powers, abilities, knowledge or perceptions. Polytheism cannot be cleanly separated from the animist beliefs prevalent in most folk religions. The gods of polytheism are in many cases the highest order of a continuum of supernatural beings or spirits, which may include ancestors, demons, wights and others. In some cases these spirits are divided into celestial or chthonic classes, and belief in the existence of all these beings does not imply that all are worshipped. Types of deities. Types of deities often found in polytheism may include creator deity, culture hero, death deity, life-death rebirth deity, love goddess, mother goddess, political deity, sky deity, solar deity, trickster deity, water deity, gods of music, arts, science, farming or other endeavors. Mythology and religion. In the classical era, Sallustius categorized mythology into 5 types: theological, physical, psychological, material, mixed. The theological are those myths which use no bodily form but contemplate the very essence of the gods, e.g., Cronus swallowing his children. Since divinity is intellectual, and all intellect returns into itself, this myth expresses in allegory the essence of divinity. Myths may be regarded physically when they express the activities of gods in the world. The psychological way is to regard the activities of the soul itself and/or the soul's acts of thought. The material is to regard material objects to actually be gods, for example, to call the earth Gaia, ocean Okeanos, or heat Hyphen. The mixed kind of myth may be seen in many instances. For example, they say that in a banquet of the gods, Eris threw down a golden apple, the goddesses contended for it, and were sent by Zeus to Paris to be judged. Paris saw Aphrodite to be beautiful and gave her the apple. Here the banquet signifies the hypercosmic powers of the gods, that is why they are all together. The golden apple is the world, which being formed out of opposites, is naturally said to be thrown by Eris. The different gods bestow different gifts upon the world, and are thus said to contend for the apple. And the soul which lives according to sense, for that is what Paris is, not seeing the other powers in the world but only beauty, declares that the apple belongs to Aphrodite. Historical polytheism. Some well-known historical polytheistic pantheons include the Sumerian gods and the Egyptian gods, and the classical attested pantheon, which includes the ancient Greek religion and Roman religion. Post-classical polytheistic religions include Norse Aesir and Vanna, the Yoruba Orisha, the Aztec gods, and many others. Today, most historical polytheistic religions are pejoratively referred to as mythology, though the stories cultures tell about their gods should be distinguished from their worship or religious practice. For instance, deities portrayed in conflict in mythology would still be worshipped sometimes in the same temple side by side, illustrating the distinction in the devotee's mind between the myth and the reality. It is speculated that there was once a Proto-Indo-European religion, from which the religions of the various Indo-European peoples derive, and that this religion was an essentially naturalist numismatic religion. An example of a religious notion from this shared past is the concept of asterisk deities, which is attested in several distinct religious systems. In many civilizations, pantheons tended to grow over time. Deities first worshipped as the patrons of cities or places came to be collected together as empires extended over larger territories. Conquests could lead to the subordination of the elder culture's pantheon to a newer one, as in the Greek Titanomachia, and possibly also the case of the Aesir and Vanna in the Norse mythos. Cultural exchange could lead to the same deity being renowned in two places under different names, as seen with the Greeks, Etruscans, and Romans, and also to the introduction of elements of a foreign religion into a local cult, as with Egyptian Osiris worship brought to ancient Greece. Most ancient belief systems held that gods influence human lives. However, the Greek philosopher Epicurus held that the gods were living, incorruptible, blissful beings who did not trouble themselves with the affairs of mortals, but who could be perceived by the mind, especially during sleep. Epicurus believed that these gods were material, human-like, and that they inhabited the empty spaces between worlds. Hellenistic religion may still be regarded as polytheistic, but with strong monistic components. And monotheism finally emerges from Hellenistic traditions in late antiquity in the form of Neoplatonism and Christian theology. Neolithic era religion. Bronze Age to Classical Antiquity religions of the Ancient Near East, Ancient Egyptian religion, Ancient Semitic religion, Historical Vedic religion, Ancient Greek religion, Ancient Roman religion, Celtic polytheism, Late Antiquity to High Middle Ages, Germanic paganism, Slavic paganism, Baltic paganism, Finnish paganism, Ancient Greece. The classical scheme in ancient Greece of the 12 Olympians were Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Athena, Ares, Demeter, Apollo, Artemis, Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Hermes, and Hestia, though it is suggested that Hestia stepped down when Dionysus was invited to Mount Olympus. This is a matter of controversy. Robert Graves. The Greek myths cites two sources that obviously do not suggest Hestia surrendered her seat, though he suggests she did. Hades was often excluded because he dwelt in the underworld. All of the gods had a power. There was, however, a great deal of fluidity as to whom was counted among their number in antiquity. Different cities often worshipped the same deities, sometimes with epithets that distinguished them and specified their local nature. The Hellenic polytheism extended beyond mainland Greece, to the islands and coasts of Ionia in Asia Minor, to Magna Graecia, and to scattered Greek colonies in the western Mediterranean, such as Massalia. Greek religion tempered Etruscan cult and belief to form much of the later Roman religion. Folk religion. The animistic nature of folk beliefs is an anthropological cultural universal. The belief in ghosts and spirits animating the natural world and the practice of ancestor worship is universally present in the world's cultures and re-emerges in monotheistic or materialistic societies as superstition. Belief in demons, tutelary saints, fairies or extraterrestrials. The presence of a full polytheistic religion, complete with a ritual cult conducted by a priestly caste, requires a higher level of organization and is not present in every culture. In Eurasia, the Kalash are one of very few instances of surviving polytheism. Also, a large number of polytheistic folk traditions are subsumed in contemporary Hinduism. Although Hinduism is doctrinally dominated by monist or monotheist theology, historical Vedic polytheist ritualism survives as a minor current in Hinduism, known as Shrauta. More widespread is folk Hinduism, with rituals dedicated to various local or regional deities.